Hey guys, Greg here with the Vinyl Rundown. Today I got a very special interview guest with us. Uh, Very well known sax player all the way from Brooklyn, New York, and what I would consider a leader of today's new jazz, innovative avant garde jazz, saxophone player Tim Berne. Hey Tim, thanks for joining
Hi.
us.
Hey,
Great.
thanks for having me. That's great.
Yeah, I'm amazed that you were able to get on the screen with me real quick. I actually reached out to you a month ago about this Sonny Rollins project I've been doing. We didn't connect till kind of late in that whole game. His
Okay.
birthday was the other day.
Yep.
So actually, in the last 2 weeks, we had Sonny turning 90 and we had Charlie Parker turning 100.
hmm
And I kind of think of you as somebody who's looking forward in music. But do these old timers have any relevance or impact on you, either growing up or now?
Yeah, totally. I was waiting to Sonny Rollins. I started listening to jazz, whatever, music
Hmm.
and improvised stuff. And I'm thinking maybe late 60s. My brother kind of turned me on to some stuff. And then I lived in Syracuse, and there was a really good record store at the college and a really good radio station on WAER. This guy, Joe Bova, and he played Cecil Taylor, he played Sonny Rollins, he played Miles. It was kind of amazing. And there were a lot of good live concerts as well. So I was exposed to a lot of stuff, just luck by luck in a way.
Did you get to see some of those guys live? Some
Oh
of those
man, I saw everybody.
masters?
Yep. I saw Sonny, I think it was probably early 70s at the
Mhm.
Village Gate. I was way into that record Next Album at one point for some reason in college. I think I was in college. Me and my buddies would listen to that a lot.
Which record is that called?
Next Album, it's called. It was on Milestone.
Okay. I don't know if I have that
But,
one.
the Vanguard stuff, I love Sonny Rollins. I mean, I like that kind of, if you're playing jazz, the jazz vernacular or traditional jazz, I like the melodic kind of improvisation versus, playing the changes, so to speak.
And that's
So I
kind of
find it really interesting that him and Miles and all those guys, they just kind of play over the changes versus, making them, so to speak, or outlining them. So
yeah,
if you
that,
stay with the melody,
mhm.
can't really go wrong. And so like one of the first sort of so-called out things that I got really into was Julius Hemphill. And one of the reasons I liked it so much was, even though his stuff was supposedly avant-garde, he his improvising was totally melodic based to me, and so I was just always very interested in melodic improvisation, whether it be over a standard or not. And so those two things kind of connected for me. So I never kind of thought one was better than the other or beneath the other. Good versions of any of those things are great and relevant, and I'm still learning things. I have friends who turn me on to stuff all the time. Branford Marsalis I've become friendly with, and he just turned me on to that Coleman Hawkins solo Picasso,
Mhm.
which I had never heard, which is just mind blowing.
I'm making notes here because there's now
Yeah,
I'm
yeah.
doing homework. I got to go listen to stuff.
And he turned me on to that record with Charlie Parker and Sonny Rollins are both playing tenor. I think it's called Serpent something, or I think it's a Miles record. But anyway, there's all my friends are always turning me on to stuff, and I kind of pay attention. I use social media in a way that, stuff like that. If someone I respect says to check something out, I usually give it a listen. Yeah, I mean, I was way into Joe Henderson. I got to see him play at Slugs. Yeah, I saw tons of stuff. It was great.
That's the fact that you're in near the New York scene. You can see all those clubs. I mean,
Yeah,
L.A. is kind of a wasteland, even though supposedly it's the head of the music business.
right, right, right.
Very few good jazz clubs, and I guess people head to New York if they really want to get into playing live. You mentioned Branford Marsalis a minute ago, and somebody I interviewed for the Sonny Rollins thing a few weeks ago mentioned him in the context of playing in a trio. And
Right.
so I went out and got one of the Branford albums, trio based, and Sonny's one of the maybe fewer people that can sort of do that without a net, without a chording instrument.
Right, especially playing
Sort of
jazz. So
play into that and
Yep.
go along on the solo.
Mhm.
I don't know if you've done a trio or a smaller group. I think you've done some duet stuff, but
I've done tons of trios, but most of them, the one bass drums thing I did, and I did it for that exact reason, because I considered it really difficult to do and I wanted a challenge. And so I had an improvising trio with Tom Rainey and Drew Gress. And we did it for a few years. We made a few records, and I wanted to do it because I found that format really challenging, just to keep coming up with melodic information. And the fact that we were improvising was interesting because in many ways it was one of the more, I won't say straight ahead, but normal thing. For me, it was pretty straight ahead.
Normal.
In some weird way, even though we were playing free, ironically, we were sort of alluding to styles more so than I would probably do in any other group. And it was really fun. It wasn't contrived. We would just start playing.
Which era, which label, which decade was it?
It was, oh boy, I think it was,
I remember,
maybe 97, either maybe 95 through 99, something like that. And the records, all three of them are on my label. I think there's 3 on ScrewGun.
Yeah, we'll get into
Yeah, I know there's 2. I'm thinking there might be 3.
We'll definitely get into ScrewGun in a while. Let's see, where do I want to go with my long list of questions here? And maybe we can jump to that 90s period. There was this label called JMT. And I kind of knew about them because I was actually working for a division of Polygram then when Polygram took them over. Isn't that great? Now, I had I wasn't even in the music section. I was in the section.
Yeah.
But I can buy all these records for pennies because I'm an employee. And ECM and Verve and JMT is really cool. And then that label started out with some great stuff on it, Paul Motion and records. So what is that story? The beginning?
Well, it started
however you want to tell it.
I think he started the label in '88 with a Steve Coleman record called Motherland Pulse.
Right.
And it was this German guy, Stefan Winter. I met him. I was on Columbia for 2 records, and I met him when that was happening. And I kind of knew it was going to end. So I was sort of making my move to figure out another step. And he was coming into Tower Records. He was in New York because he worked for Enja at the time. And I think he was planning to start this label, and not really sure, but he made this cryptic comment to me. He met me in the store. I was working there. So it must have been earlier. So it was 86, 85, 86, because that was my last year, I think, at Tower. So he was still working for Enja. And he asked me if I would want to do a record for Enja. And I was like, huh? And I was kind of surprised because people weren't really coming up to me. And this was pre-Columbia. And so I said, sure. And he goes, well, Matthias Winkelmann's in New York and he wants to meet you. And I was like, oh, okay. And he was the guy who ran Enja Records. So I said, yeah, okay, I'll meet him. So I hooked up with him, and he was hanging out with, I think, Richie Byrack and a bunch of guys. And it was a weird scene. I think they were all getting stoned, and no one really talked to me, and I felt really uncomfortable. And nothing really came of it. And then Stefan said, oh, he wants you to do a quartet record with, I think it was something like John Hicks. It was just a super traditional quartet. And it made no sense. I mean, I love those guys, but it made absolutely no sense. It had nothing to do with me. And I just sort of said, yeah, that doesn't really sound like a great idea. But he didn't really talk to me anyway, so fuck it, And then later I got on Columbia, I guess 86, 87. And then I met him again, and he said he was starting this label. And so I did this record, Miniature, with Joey Berne and Hank Roberts. That was the first one I did for him.
Hank Roberts?
Yeah, the cellist, and Joey Berne, drummer. And so we did it. I was still in Columbia, but I knew I could get away with it because it wasn't going to be under my name. So we did it. And Stefan was cool. It went well. He kind of let us do our thing. And then I introduced him to Steve Byram, who's an artist, designer, who was working at Columbia. who did my covers at Columbia. And I said, man, you should get this guy to do your covers. And so he said, oh, great. And then Steve signed on. And then I said, oh, you should record Hank, or you should, and I said, you should check out Paul Motion. I bet he would do something. And kept building up the label. And we were kind of, I wouldn't say we were partners, but Steve and I had a lot of influence over what he was doing. And it kind of went pretty well for a while. I mean, I did 9 records for him. And in terms of the conditions, it was great. The problem was when the records came out, nothing really happened. And I think he saw himself as an artist, which means that doesn't relate to commerce. And my feeling was, well, if we're going to make these records, I say, let's be a business, I'm all for selling these things.
What if they make a record and no one hears it?
Yeah, exactly. And so that kind of got to be a drag after a while. And then I'll make a long story short. Let's just say he got seduced by a little bit of success, and we fell out, and that was it. And that was fine.
Well, the Stefan guy, he also made his own 1 or 2 records.
He certainly did.
Trumpet stuff.
Yeah, the little trumpet wasn't.
And I didn't even know that about him. I just thought he was a producer.
That was really Herb Robertson did everything. Mm-hmm. I mean, Stefan gave him these lead sheets, and Herb arranged the music, and it really is Herb's record as much as it could be.
More like a guy who wanted to be a musician.
Well, he played trombone and he went to music school, but I don't know. He might have some talent. I don't really know. And as a producer, it was great for a while, and then he developed an ego, which is it's understandable. It's his money, but it got to be difficult. He sort of developed a case of Manfred envy, which I think you know what that means. And
ECM Records.
Yeah, and so he had this chip on his shoulder, and anyway, it just didn't.
That guy's a major genius who's been making records for 50 years.
Yeah, it's a different animal. He knows how to produce a record. He's went to engineering school.
He doesn't play trumpet on any of his records.
No, exactly. He's a good bass player though. But anyway,
did not know that.
So anyway, that ended, and then I decided to start ScrewGun. I was kind of extremely motivated. I had a bit of a following, and I thought, well, if I do this, I'm going to make like so-called legitimate bootlegs. So I would record all these concerts, really low tech, because I thought everybody loves a bootleg. I like bootlegs. So me and Steve developed this cardboard look, and I made these lo-fi records. The first one was BloodCount. It was a 3-record set. We made this really cool box, kind of designed it ourselves, and this guy in Chicago printed it, hand letterpress.
And I love the look of the records and the artwork.
Yeah, that's all Steve Byram. And so we did it, and I said, well, if I do this mail order, let's say I spend $8,000 and I charge $30 for a triple CD, I'll make my money back in like no time. And it worked. We were selling, we sold a lot of records. I paid everybody, did it again. It did well. It did another one. And then it was like, wow, this is easy. I don't know what these guys are sweating about. And it was great right up until Napster ruined the record industry, and then things changed, and then it got harder. And then I got on a label again. I did stuff for Spanish label. I can't remember the Portuguese label. I can't remember the name. Pedro. What was his record company called? Anyway, I did a bunch of records, and I was kind of swimming around, and then I hooked up with ECM and did that for a while. And now I'm back now I'm with Intakt, but they kind of let me do whatever I want. They let me make my own records for my own label, and so I got back into it.
It wasn't the first SnakeOil on ECM?
Yeah, we did 4 for ECM, and then I did 1 as part of a book that I put out with Steve Byram's art.
Book, that sounds pretty cool.
Yeah, that was fun.
I tried to gather up your records, and I got some stuff on the wall here, and I got
yeah, I see a couple
JMT CD.
Yep.
Chaos Total.
That cover, the cocktail napkin on that cover, that's me at a bar handwriting.
Wow.
Steve said, hey, write that title on there. And he said, okay, So anyway, we had fun. We're still having fun. We're still having
lettering, the lettering.
Yeah.
Art.
No, it was great, man. We had a good run on JMT.
Well, I'm going to ask you about that in a second, but as long as we're talking about ECM, I can't find
see that. What is that?
That's the SnakeOil promo thing.
Oh yeah, that was Shadow Man.
So I saw you play in L.A. and
at the Blue
Whale, little
that
tiny
was legendary.
club without a stage, just like a.
Yeah, I love that. That was an amazing gig. Yep.
We're sitting on like these beanbag chairs 2 feet away from you.
I know, that was fun.
And it's a cool club. I bought the CD from you. That's when we met you.
Okay.
My $20, so I signed that Tim Berne. But I should have had you autograph this anyway. So ECM, you've done a few things with ECM. Oh, the JMT question. So you said when JMT was sold to Polygram, they basically hit the delete button and erased you from the planet.
Want to hear the story?
I want to hear the story, but then I want to hear the aftermath, which is
I'll tell you both.
Winter seemed to have reinvented. Something.
Winter, but then that's anyway. So he had a 10th anniversary celebration in New York, and we were all scheduled to play. We were doing it at the Knitting Factory. Steve Byram had wallpapered the club with art. It was all set up to be great. I played a bunch of different groups, played the music of Julius Hemphill in one group with the great Bakita Carroll. Then I did, all these stuff. Django Bates played. So the night of the first concert, Stefan gives up, and the first thing he says is he announces that he sold the company to Japan, to a Japanese company, and it's over. This is the night of a 5-night celebration of his 10th anniversary. This is like how it started.
Early 90s?
Yeah, like 90, maybe, I don't know, 94, 95.
Okay.
And we're all just like, what the fuck? And that night we went to a bar, me and him and Stefan, and Steve Byram, and we just had it out. We were like, what the fuck? All this shit we had done. And he didn't give anybody any money. He got a pile of money for it. And then he started another label called Winter and Winter. And that's when kind of his ego kicked in and it became difficult to work with him, And so anyway, that was the story. And then the aftermath, I guess he kept doing it. And now they're all out of print. He called me and said, oh, yeah, everything's out of print now. You can buy back your records if you want. You can buy back individual CDs. So, of course, I didn't do that. But it was kind of insulting. But it happened twice. It's not just once. So he managed to sell the label and still run it. I mean, that's genius. He should get the Genius Award for that. I don't know how he pulled that off. But anyway, so that didn't end well.
That's your typical
exactly.
LA producer story right there.
Yeah, and these guys start out, they're into the music, and then they decide they want to get some attention, and then all of a sudden, they want to make money. And they should have thought of that at the beginning when they could have probably made money if they'd had figured out, hey, let's have a publicist,
Most people don't think I want to make millions of dollars. How about avant-garde jazz? That's the way.
But
you'll get a hedge fund or something.
Yeah, but I think he had access to something, but he was making money. I mean, you could make money. I made money at ScrewGun.
Make a reasonable living.
Yeah, you could do it.
Not money.
If you weren't, didn't treat it like it's some kind of, you gotta have gloves on to listen to it. It's just music, and we put out some great shit. It looked great, and ECM was selling records like crazy. He could have easily done that. He had a great lineup, and then he just got, I don't know, he had a couple of hits like Cassandra Wilson, and then he just started trying to find more hits, and that's always, it's one thing when you're lucky, but trying to do that is another ballgame, You got to spend money, and he didn't want to do that.
You got to promote.
Yeah, exactly.
Public relations.
Yeah.
Blah, blah, blah.
He didn't have a clue how to do that in the States.
Now you can do that with social media for free, and you get on with the right influencers. And
yeah.
YouTube channel, bigger than mine, hopefully.
Yep.
But I was just kind of looking around the internet, and I see Winter and Winter. I don't want to promote them, but it appears to me that he's selling stuff. Some of your stuff.
I guess so. I guess it's not as out of print as he said it was, but that's cool. I don't want to. I don't dwell on that. It's
right. Well, it looks. No, I have 6 or 7 of your records, some
Hmm.
just digital, some LP, some, and I thought
Right.
I've got a good section of
Hmm.
Tim's stuff in my collection. Then I go on your Wikipedia page and you got like 60, 65 records as a leader.
Is that right?
I tried counting and I think I got to 60 or 65. You don't even know. So,
I don't know. I'm 65 though. That makes sense.
but you've been doing 1 or 2 a year since you've been doing it. So that's a huge
Yeah.
amount of work, a huge
This
amount.
year I'm doing 10.
10 records.
Yeah, I'm about number 9's coming out in October, and then the 10th one comes out in November. Then
Oh,
I'm going to go to Mexico and retire. I
You're going to
wish.
retire? Well, come and play in LA at least one more time before you retire.
I know. I miss playing, man. It's so crazy. I played in LA in February at that piano series or whatever that is, that little museum or gallery.
Trying to think what place.
This guy, I can't remember the guy's name. It was played there with Matt Mitchell. We played
It's like
duo.
a art gallery type thing.
Yeah, it was an art. It had photographs, like expensive
The
rock and roll photographs.
the one by the railroad station in Santa Monica.
No, it was in a neighborhood.
Art galleries are,
I don't think so. It was in a weird neighborhood.
or Silver Lake. The art.
No, it wasn't Silver Lake either. It wasn't.
Hmm.
God, what's that guy's name? The guy. He has a radio program. I don't know. Anyway, he had to have a really nice piano in this gallery, and so we did this duo thing, and that was end of February, maybe, or mid-February.
Right before the lockdown, and
Yep.
I'm sorry I missed it. I got to get on your mailing list.
Yeah, what mailing list?
Well, promoted sometimes.
Yeah.
They're not in the LA Times or whatever.
Yeah, exactly.
So you haven't been really playing during the lockdown, I assume? Are you rehearsing?
No, just playing by myself. You know, I recorded a solo record up in my 3rd floor. That was fun. And I've done, I just put out a bunch of live stuff and
live streaming stuff?
No, live concert recordings,
Right.
And I'm not doing the streaming. I don't really know how to do that. And I don't.
This is what you do.
Yeah, I know. I could do talking streaming, but when the sound quality's got to be good. And
I saw one from this guy I interviewed, Sonny Rollins' godson, Eric Wyatt, and he was at was it the Blue Note or the Vanguard? No, it wasn't either of those. It was some other club.
Yeah.
Smalls.
Oh yeah.
But they had a 3-camera shoot live.
Yeah, they're good, right?
And fancy stuff. And they have to go to a patron and say, okay, somebody with some money has to like kick in a couple $1,000 just to run this show.
Yeah.
They put it out for free, but some places are selling streaming tickets for $10 or $20, whatever.
Yeah, the Vanguard's doing it. They do a good job. I mean, I think they're only charging $7.
Yeah,
it's hard to get people to pay. I mean, it's a very strange phenomena. I think it's going to end badly in terms of what happens with the live music scene, because I think people are getting even more used to seeing stuff for nothing and not paying for things, and musicians are kind of understandably playing into it in a way, by being guilty if they ask for money, and it's a bizarre thing. It's almost like it's distasteful to try to make a living right now because of all the political stuff, and I understand the vibe, but doctors and lawyers are just still asking for money. I mean, all these musicians, I mean, I'm doing better than most, but a lot of people I know could use $100, or $50, and I think, people, and then the people who are listening don't have any money, probably.
Well, it's all over the place. I mean, I'm lucky enough to have a corporate job where I work from home.
Right.
Hasn't impacted my income. It could if our sales tank, which they have. But I'm spending money on records. I'm buying records. I'm still spending too much money on records, which I think is one way of supporting musicians.
Totally, man. That's great.
Half of them are dead, the ones I'm buying.
Yeah, well, somebody's going somewhere. Hopefully,
promote new guys like you.
Yeah,
and we give you a chance to take a look at your website and promote your stuff. But what was I going to say about the streaming? The music industry kind of got killed with the Napsters, and people
Well, they
doing music, and now it's killed again. The live version of music is killed again. I mean, that's a double
well,
death knell for musicians
I mean, the record companies killed themselves. I mean, the big ones, the corporate ones,
by putting out crappy records.
no, because they sold their soul to iTunes and everybody when they could have done it themselves. They could have done the
They didn't see the
streaming.
light. You know?
Yeah, they could have developed it themselves, and then they own all the content. iTunes doesn't own anything. And they stupidly turned it over to all these third parties. And not that I care about the corporate record companies, but Jesus Christ, that was stupid. And it was
technology. They thought they were in the business of selling these things.
Yeah.
And not we're in the business of selling something that goes in your ear.
But then they embraced it, and they're all about, they must be making money from streaming because they're so pro streaming. So they're not doing that for fun. I mean, they got to be making money. They must own the streaming places.
I've never given Spotify a penny.
Yeah.
I've considered it. Should I give them the $10 a month?
Yeah.
Can I go and spend $10-$20? I think nothing of spending $10 and $20 on records times 5,
mm-hmm.
100, 150 a month on records. But
yeah.
I'm not sure I should give Spotify $10. And the artists are making nothing off of Spotify. They're making for 8 billion views. So it's tough. Actually, YouTube, some artists are doing a really good job on YouTube.
Yeah, I've heard that.
You get your channel monetized. You get up to 20 or 50,000 people. You pay, make money off the ads. You sell your merch. You sell your T-shirts. You sell your records. So,
sounds like a lot of work.
Hey, what?
I mean, that's what I do. I shouldn't.
Probably easier than dealing with record producers and.
Yeah, I haven't had to do that much, and when I have, it's usually been cool, But
so we sort of started talking about ScrewGun.
Mm-hmm.
We kind of eased our way into that. How many records do you have in print? How many do you print up at a time? 1,000, 5,000? If you take any trade secrets, but I'm just curious about.
It used to be when it was going well, I would print 2,000, and I could get rid of most of them. Some of them did better, some of them didn't. When it stopped being successful, or I don't know, I'd do 1,500, and then I'd be 1,000. And now I'm kind of reluctant to do physical because it's really unpredictable, And so lately, this year, I've done mostly digital, just partly because of the virus thing. And, I just didn't want to roll the dice. And it did pretty well. I mean, I did a solo David Torn thing and a solo of mine the same month in May. And we both did really well. And I was kind of stunned. I thought, wow, this is easy. I'll just do one a month and, live happily ever after. And then it got harder.
On digital, I guess.
I mean, that whole Bandcamp Day thing is cool, and Bandcamp's really cool. It's really easy to use. Now it's getting a little more challenging. Now I've got having another Intakt record coming out, and I don't know. I have to probably next year figure out some new strategy. But for this year, the Bandcamp stuff was kind of cool, and it was fun, to put out a record every month and put out a bunch of, not have to think about when's the best time, just do it, and so I started this subsidiary of ScrewGun called 9 Donkeys, and that's my digital label.
I saw that and I didn't quite understand.
Yeah, I know. I know. No one understands me. But anyway, that's,
What does that mean? Anything?
No. Well, it does. In Germany, there's a 9 Danke means no thank you. So,
Nice.
You're sitting on the train, you're thinking of silly stuff. So I got that. We kept getting 9 Donkeys until finally I said, oh, maybe I'll start a label called 9 Donkeys. And then I called Byram and I said, hey, I need a logo. And then he sent me the logo. And then I said, well, I guess I have a label now.
We'll bring it up right here on the screen for people.
Yep, there it is.
There it is. And I guess there's 9 legs there.
Yes, I hope so.
With 9 legs, it's close enough. I get it.
That last leg is questionable. It could be a tail.
Could be, God knows what it could be.
Yeah. But it's fun.
So
David Torn
downloads
helps
only.
me. David Torn does all the mastering and mixing for me, and he's been a big help over the last probably 15 years. He's produced all my records.
He's a really innovative, primarily guitar player.
Well, that and an incredible mixing engineer. I mean, he's a great producer.
Mm-hmm.
He's just a brilliant guy. I mean, talk about Genius Award. So give it to him.
And he's done ECM stuff, or mostly?
He's done tons of stuff. He's on a bunch of David Bowie records. He's on about 150 film scores, almost every Coen Brothers movie. He's written a bunch of film scores. He's brilliant, and he's great friend. And we just sit there and come up with shit. We'll talk on the phone for an hour. We'll get an idea, and then like 2 months later, we do it. And it's really fun,
That sounds cool. Maybe convince him to get on my little.
He would do it in a second. He'd be probably 10 times more interesting than me.
Well,
at least
that one down too.
But yeah, I'll hook him. I mean, he's really.
Yeah, I have some of his records. I have a smattering of just like. I have more records than I can listen to. Okay.
Yeah.
To be honest, I'm a bit of a hoarder.
I mean, you could do a whole show with him just on film music. I mean, he's really brilliant guy.
Cool. Yeah, I love some of the good composers out there. Not an expert on that, but definitely dig some composers that I've listened to and a few of their records. So 9 Donkeys is pure digital versus physical media.
At the moment, brother, I might do a vinyl solo Torn thing. He's going to do this sort of blues recording solo.
Well, that was going to be my next question, because I started this record or this YouTube channel about vinyl records, and is the economics of vinyl just a lot harder to do? Do you print small?
Well, I'm finding out it's not. That's why we might do it.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's one reason. I found a pretty good deal. So I think we're going to do like a limited 300. One of our ECM records, Son of Goldfinger, came out on vinyl. Mm-hmm. But I think if I do it myself, we could luck out, sell a few. So I might try it.
ECM is way too expensive.
I know.
$30 a disc.
I know.
And it's
like, not for us.
Yeah.
We'll keep it. But, I might do it. Maybe New Year's Eve release, if we can pull it off.
Well, I'll definitely mention it on the channel. Let's go back to your website and just show people anything you want to point out, like some of the newer releases and your
sure. I mean, the Broken Shadows record, that's a quartet. We play Ornette Coleman and Julius Hemphill and Dewey Redman and Charlie Hayden.
Okay, that's the red one in the middle there.
Yeah, that was a live recording at a certain club in New York. And there's a duet with Hank Roberts, a bunch of stuff. There's Torn's record with that thing climbing up the wall or climbing down the wall.
This little
yes. I think it was a squirrel without a tail. But yeah, these are all pretty new this year, almost all of those.
And so these are all available as CDs for the most part?
No, a lot of them are
digital.
I just make these covers on my phone.
That's
one of my hobbies. But some of them are like that. The SnakeOil, the greenish one, is a CD.
I clicked the wrong button.
Well, no, that's on the Son of Goldfinger. That's a vinyl and CD.
I was going to say it has a very ECM look to it.
Yeah, that's actually my photo, but I'll take it anyway.
Oh, that's not ECM?
No, I do. Well, it is ECM, but
wouldn't be on your website if it was ECM, I guess.
Yeah, it is ECM, but it's my photograph.
Oh, that's quite an honor to be
yeah, I've done 5
photographer
for them.
Wow, you can add photographer to your list of credits there.
Most of these covers are my photos. I think a lot of them. But anyway, there's a million things, and there's a ScrewGun Records Bandcamp, and then there's a Tim Berne Bandcamp that has a bunch of other stuff, scores and stuff like that.
We can put some of those links into the show notes here once I get
great.
this.
Yeah, that'd be great.
This
There's a
record
bunch.
I have on vinyl behind me, Fulton Street.
Oh yeah. Columbia. Oops, we better not mention that.
Okay. Oops.
How'd that get up there?
But here's some artwork of your friend Byram. Is that his
Yep.
name?
All of these covers are designed.
Love that artwork of the like pencil work, or what is he using?
Well, it's hand letterpress drawings, little
Yeah,
but these are all his covers, every one of them.
I want to ask you something about Big Satan, etc.
Mm-hmm.
And I have that on digital download.
Mm-hmm.
It's really a question about words: ScrewGun, SnakeOil, BloodCount, Big Satan. Why does it sound like I'm listening to a Gothic heavy metal band? Is there some dark stuff going on with you?
Well, I
funny
probably
names.
in the back of my mind, I didn't want to. I hate jazz group names. I hate Tim Berne Quartet. You know, I hate those kind of names. It's the music's so evocative, and then the name is so lame. So I try to come up with names that will are provocative. You know, make you think of something. So yeah, I'm into names. You know, I like a good name.
Song number 1, song number 2.
Yeah, exactly. 3. Sweet number 2.
Creative and kind of weird names on some of your tunes.
I try.
And I don't have any in front of me that are going to.
The solo record's one of my favorites. I came up with this. I like it. It's called Sacred Vowels. I kind of like that for a solo thing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But you know, I try.
It's not quite as dark.
Not yet.
It's not quite as heavy metalish, although go with the Gothic thing. So there's not an underlying darkness about Tim. That's,
no, I don't know anything about metal. You know.
Well, not metal, but just like these are all really dark, spooky names.
They are.
What's going on with him? But I see.
Big
another
Satan.
quintet, another quartet. Then it becomes about you, and not so much the musicians, because it's one guy. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So that's cool. So back to your label real quick. Did you want to show that weird piece of merch that you developed for sale?
You betcha. Where is that?
On here? Or can you show us
it might be on. It's under merch. Is there up at the top? It should say merch.
How to use this thing? I'm gonna go up to
I know I can barely. Just go to the top.
Yeah,
and then hit merch. There it is.
Oh my god.
I know this is low. I've gone low. I know, but I just like it. I think it's funny. I like it. What can I say? But anyway, so you can get a free record. You know, I'm practically giving them away because I'm so guilty. But
you're not.
But I do like it. You gotta love
that.
I was gonna do T-shirts, but they're a pain in the ass to ship. And I thought this was kind of a novelty.
So you're giving those away with a purchase or something, or selling?
Yeah, one of them for $15. I can't believe I'm saying this. You get a free download. You get a choice. I can't remember what. You get a complete record download free, and then if you buy the other one for $20, you get a CD. You either get duo record I did with Nasheed Waits, or you get a duo thing I did with Matt Mitchell. You have your choice. It's kind of like ordering a pasta. You get your choice of vegetable. You know, you get broccoli, or you can get fries.
But no substitutions. Please.
Exactly. So that's how I don't know if this is a word. Assuage my guilt.
Persuading. Oh, I see what you're saying.
Yeah. You know what I'm talking about. So anyway, we can get off of that.
Have guilt about trying to make a living during this medieval plague we're living through.
I love that logo. I just had to do something.
Yeah, it is a cool logo. But if I wear that around LA, you know, people might. Who knows what they'll think?
Isn't the donkey?
I don't care what they think.
Isn't that the symbol of the Democratic Party? Or one of them?
Some sort of donkey.
Yeah. So maybe you'll get beat up by some Trumpers. Or you'll beat them up.
You made it blue instead of black. It's cool. Don't get me wrong. It's going to raise a lot of questions, but you know, are people out and about in New York doing stuff and wearing masks?
Yeah, I think New York
State is different. You know,
New York's been good. I mean, for that, I would say, all things considered, you know, people have been pretty responsible, But now it's just fucking. I mean, everybody's going insane. I don't know what, yeah, I don't know. If they're going to start doing indoor restaurant stuff, that could be dangerous.
Yeah, we have outdoor restaurants, which my family doesn't really want to go to.
Yeah.
I leave the house once a week to buy some falafels or something. And
right.
That's it. I don't leave the house to go to work.
Yeah.
So I mean, New York is a wasteland for the first time since 9/11, where you can walk out in the street and there's nobody there. Are you
well, it's not quite like that now, but Brooklyn. I would say I was in Manhattan. There were a lot of people on the street yesterday, but Brooklyn's still pretty mellow. Mm-hmm. You can go out and walk, and you have some space, so that's good. And if you go out to the beach, it's actually pretty mellow. Not too many people, and
yeah, we had crazy full beaches here.
Yeah, the fires too, man. Jesus.
Yeah, our whole city was covered in smoke yesterday. It looked like dusk all day long.
Unreal.
It smelled like fire. Fires aren't that close to us, luckily.
Yeah.
30, 40 miles away, and we were near evacuating last time. We didn't have to, but I do know people who've lost everything in the last couple of years. And
yeah,
we actually had 121 degrees in my house, Woodland Hills, last Saturday.
Jesus.
That was on national news, hottest temperature in the.
Wow.
Yeah, crazy. Today, it's so cool I could actually wear a shirt. But let's get back to your stuff real quick.
Mm-hmm.
See if I can figure out how to get back to your website. Because I do want to ask for my vinyl collectors out there, what, if any, vinyl you're selling at all?
Just one. It's Son of Goldfinger ECM record. I have 30 copies of vinyl, and I would say it's very competitively priced, if you know what I mean.
I might have to pick one up because
if you look at it, it might even be $15. Is that possible?
Jesus, that's too cheap.
I'm motivated. I'm a motivated seller, as they say in real estate. I have 30 of those fuckers, and I want to get them out of my house.
They take up too much space?
I don't know. You just don't like having stuff around. I have a lot of stuff around. Tonight I'm getting 200 copies of the new SnakeOil thing. So
I scrolled, but I didn't actually hit the button.
There it is.
There it is. I gotta pick
$15. Oh well, the vinyl.
Before my viewers jump on this.
Where does it say? Is the vinyl in there?
Yeah.
How much is the vinyl?
Oh, that compact disc is 15, and then
I'm curious. Yeah, 15.
$15.99.
That's just wow. Did I do that? That's hilarious.
That's cheap.
No, do it, man. Before I change my mind.
ECM is usually $30, and there's so much great stuff I avoid. And I've talked myself into, you got to buy LPs instead of CDs, which I've backed off on that. So now I'm doing both. I'm filling up my house. This is a tiny percentage of like 50 cubes of records.
Looks very well organized. I like it.
I did my little homage, and I got all the way down there, and I got the record walls, and I got
fantastic
my wife's stuff, and
that's great.
Keyboards, 2 guitar amps, 3 keyboards.
Do you play?
Basses. I'm what you call a mediocre guitar player, and I realized early in life that jazz was way beyond me.
Yeah, me too.
I was in a really good high school jazz band and played at Monterey and all that stuff.
Wow.
Ted Nash was in my high school jazz band a few years before me, if you know him.
Oh, yeah, sure. He's in the Lincoln Center band, right?
Yeah, he's won Grammys, and he's a big shot. So I met him at one event, but we were years apart. But we had a really good high school thing.
Nice.
And that's where I kind of left it. Now I'm a listener, collector, observer, hoarder of music.
Mm-hmm. That's good. We need you.
Because, you can be brilliant and barely make a living. So if I'm mediocre, why waste my time? You know what I mean? Tim, I think I've gone through my whole list of questions.
Okay.
More or less. And you've been a great staying on here with me for 40 minutes.
All right.
There's much more to say other than I want people to be aware of your website, ScrewGun.
Man, thank you so much.
And thank you. If you're ever in LA, I hope I can come see you. And, if you need to hang out at my pool before the show, whatever.
Did you say pool?
I have a giant pool out there.
I'm in, man.
Size of the. I've done two of these Zoom calls from the pool just to.
Oh fuck! I'm glad we didn't do that. That would have been too much of me.
I can't do that with you. My wife told me to change my shirt. She said, "You can't wear this T-shirt on with a big."
Look at me! I got a T-shirt on.
Yeah, well, you're the guest. So I really appreciate this. I'm gonna have this up on my channel in hopefully a few hours.
Great. Send me the link because I can get it around.
Yeah, that's what I ask my people to do is to share the link with their social media.
I'd like shameless.
To have a few subscribers to Vinyl Rundown.
Totally.
Same name on Twitter, on Instagram. You've got what? Twitter,
Instagram. I'm on Instagram. I'm Berne or not, and then
I'll look these up and get the right spelling.
Twitter, I'm ScrewGub, G-U-B.
Did someone else have gun?
Woody Allen. Don't you remember the Woody Allen movie?
Oh,
when he says, I have a gun, and they say a gub. He says, that looks like a B, and he goes, no, it's an N. And they have this big argument about whether it's gub or gun.
I've seen every Woody Allen movie, but I don't know.
That might be Bananas or something.
Yeah, that goes way back to when I was, when he was.
But anyway, and then I don't know what I am on Facebook. I might be me.
Well, I'll dig all those up and put them in the show notes.
Okay, thanks.
And it was absolutely great having you. And
great.
We can talk about some other, especially your musician friends who want to spend an hour chatting with.
Totally, man. I'll send you Torrin's email.
I love that. Appreciate it.
Yeah.
All right. Tim, I think we're signing off. So thank you so much.
All right.
Enjoy the rest of the weekend, and we will check you out soon. Great talking to you.
Great, man. Thank you.
Thanks a lot. Bye-bye.